Hello all and welcome to All Red. Okay, this is not the funnest topic to talk about, but we got to ask the question, what if? What if Liverpool do not re-sign Virgil van Dijk, Mohamed Salah, or Trent Alexander-Arnold? What happens next year? And with us to discuss this today is Aaron. Aaron, thanks for jumping on. I'm excited to kind of hear your thoughts on this because here's what we're going to do. I'm going to run through what our starting 11 would look like if we made no signings and if we didn't re-sign any of those three. That's going to be a little painful to look at. But then what would it look like if we were to fill some of those gaps with some new signings, some fresh talent? I'm excited to look at that. So let's first look at what would Liverpool's starting 11 be without any of those big three and without signing anyone. Okay, so I think Alisson Becker stays. I think it's Gerald Kwanzaa and Ibrahima Konate at the back. I think Kwanzaa's been okay when we've seen him lately, but Aaron, this is kind of painful to look at without Virgil van Dijk in there.
Yeah, it is, mate. It is. It's a scary thought.
It's scary. I don't like thinking about that. And it's not just that you lose the best center back in the world; it's that you lose your captain. That is weighty. Virgil van Dijk, I'll stick to my guns on this. He is the most important of those three in this Liverpool team. Our captain, our rock at the back, he cleans up so much on our back line. Man, it's hard to imagine going into a season without him. It hurts my heart, Aaron. But let's look at the left and right backs, okay? Connor Bradley is, I think, already ready to take over, but there is concerns there with his fitness and will he be able to stay healthy? He's had a lot of issues this season, but if we have a full season of a healthy Connor Bradley, I'm okay with that. I really am. If Connor Bradley can strengthen and stay healthy for a full season, I'd be thrilled to see what he can do on that right side. I'm not saying I want Trent to leave. I don't, but I think Connor Bradley is a genuine talent. On the left side, we've got to keep Andy Robertson in there based on the rules here of we don't have any signings here. This is just our current squad. So, Aaron, what do you think of this back line?
Yeah, you lack leadership in that back line. I know you have Andy Robbo there, who is the Scotland captain, but the organizer at the back, the big guy at the back that's going to clean everything up when the ball gets whipped into the box, that's Van Dijk. Konate, I think, is a little bit bigger than Van Dijk, but Van Dijk owns that box. And I think losing that presence on set pieces, it's hard to even think about.
Yeah.
Listen, Kwanzaa has done well, mate. He's done okay. He had that little dip in confidence, but since that period, when he's come back into the team, when he's been reintegrated back into the team and playing some minutes, he's actually looked quite assured.
Yeah, he has. But that is usually with Virgil in there, right? Like that's the thing with this defense is there's so many. We have a lot of good defenders, right? Konate is brilliant. But they're all playing alongside of the best. They're all playing alongside of Virgil van Dijk. And you remove that piece, and it's a scary outlook. So, all right, let's move to the midfield. Actually, I don't think anything changes here. Grav, McAllister. I'm putting the captain's armband on McAllister, Aaron. I don't know if that's the right choice. That was just like, okay, I think he could wear that for a while. And I think he's the guy to do it. I think he's a vocal leader. He's kind of got the mindset that I'd want to see in a captain. So I'm putting it on McAllister there. Let's move to the front line. Putting Gakpo in there and Harvey Elliott and Darwin Núñez. I think you could go Jota or Darwin, but there it is, Aaron. There's our starting 11 without any new signings and without re-signing any of the big three. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's not factoring in Ben Doak, who's on the right side as well.
Yeah,
if I had a selection between a fit Ben Doak who's been tearing it up in the Championship, and Elliott on the right-hand side to give us that kind of natural width. I don't know, I'll probably lean towards Doak. I know Elliott's quite a clever, intricate footballer, but as a winger, I'm not overly impressed in his ability as a winger.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Ben Doak there running at defenders, scaring them a little bit with his pace. Almost Damien Duff-like back in the old days when he played for Chelsea. I think he's got that ability, but he just needs to piece it together. And he's another one that has a few injuries in his locker as well. So hopefully he can get away from them injuries. But he's an option next season. He would be a really good option on that right side.
Does this team right here, Aaron, do they compete for a Premier League title?
No.
I don't think so either. Top 4, probably. They're in the running. But
yeah, I think the subs are still strong though, Sam.
Yeah.
Listen, we need to get away from thinking it's just a first 11 approach to the league. It's 15, 16 players if you can keep injuries to a minimum. With the rotation that we could have with good quality operators. There's no reason why top 4 would be a real good push in the top 4, but compete with a rejuvenated Man City and a strengthened Arsenal. And even a Chelsea, a strengthened Chelsea.
Yep.
I know they're not doing great now. They're having a dip, but these guys are going to strengthen.
Yep. All right. Now that that's done and dusted, over with, let's move to our starting 11 with some new signings, okay? Again, still none of the big 3 have re-signed. They're gone. But let's just look at this and see what could be some realistic signings that if the ownership of Liverpool is like, we're done with these 3, we want to move on. And maybe Arne Slot too is like, yeah, it's time to move on. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. Okay, let's bring in some new, younger talent. So I've left the players in there, Aaron, that I think would retain their starting spots. And let's fill in some of the gaps. So first and foremost, it's going to be Dean Huijsen at the back. This guy, to me, I would be most excited about as a potential replacement for Virgil van Dijk. I still don't like the thought of that. Still wouldn't do it if I was in charge. But Dean Huijsen has the physical profile and I think is on a really good trajectory to becoming a world-class center back. What do you think about a Huijsen-Konate partnership at the back, Aaron?
I rate Huijsen. I think he's going to be a top quality centre back. I would worry about the sort of inexperience a little bit.
Yeah.
But the guy he's 6'5", 6'6" in stature. He moves across the pitch really well. He's really good on the ball. He is, for me, he is potentially a future replacement for Van Dijk. Just hopefully not now. Yeah, but I think he's a really good replacement and could have a really good partnership for 5-6 years to come with someone like Konate.
Yeah. Yeah, and ideally, Van Dijk stays and we still bring Huijsen in as an understudy. That would be the ideal. But this kid looks really, really good. He's about to turn 20 years old, so he's got his whole career ahead of him. And I think he'd be a fantastic center back signing. Let's move to this left back position. This is not an outgoing position as far as contracts go, but I think everyone has identified this as one of our biggest needs. I'm bringing in Milos Kerkez as kind of just a Bournemouth raid here, but with obvious connections with Richard Hughes. And there's been a lot of links. I really don't care about the social media links because it's just people watching good players play and saying, oh, Liverpool are linked. They must be, because this player looks really good. But Milos Kerkez, I think, is a really interesting name. I think he kind of has that Andy Robertson type bulldog mentality of 5 years ago when Robertson was just, one of the best left backs in the world. And Kerkez can whip in crosses. He can even get in for a goal or two now and then. And hey, maybe you retain some of that connection between Huijsen and Kerkez in their Bournemouth campaign this season, which has been really, really good. And let's not forget that we already know Richard Hughes rates these guys because he's the one that brought them into Bournemouth. So how do we feel about that back line now? Kirkes, Hoyson, Konate, and Bradley.
Young, strong, big, hungry. That's a future potentially. I think that would be quite a bright future as well. For me, I think I'm watching Kirkes play at the moment, and you and I have had a couple of discussions saying, is he good enough?
Yeah,
I'm watching him at the moment, and I'm seeing this guy play most attackers out of the game. Yeah, he is powerful. He's aggressive. I love his aggression. He's very, very confident in his abilities, and he's starting to come up with assists.
Yeah,
he's starting to come up with big moments in games, and he's even popping up with a goal or two as well. So I think most definitely that's a back line that I could get on board with.
Okay. I have previously said I don't think Milos Kirkes is good enough for Liverpool. Just looking at the stats, looking at the numbers, but I'd be interested in this. I'd be intrigued. And certainly if Arne Slot rates him and wants to bring him into his team, I trust Arne Slot. And I trust the team around him to know who is good enough. I'd be excited about this. Still don't love the fact that Virgil Van Dijk is gone, but I'd be excited about this for the future. Okay, with the midfield set, let's move into that hotly debated right wing position. Who takes over for the now departed Mohamed Salah? We're just pretending, okay, that Salah is gone. But I think, Aaron, and you agree with me, Ryan Cherki is the guy. This guy is really good. Now, I get it. He's playing in the French league. But just look at some of these numbers. Okay, these are Ryan Cherki's numbers from the last year, the last 365 days across all competitions. This guy is top marks all across the board. These are his passing stats. So if you think about someone on that right wing, someone who can pass, someone who's going to be playing through balls, playing balls into the box, whoever Liverpool's striker is with Ryan Cherki on the right wing is going to be feasting because this guy can do it all. He can do it all from free kicks, from dead balls, from live play, passes into the final third, passes into the penalty area. This guy is really, really good. If you look at his goal and shot creations as well, just top marks across the board. Top marks everywhere. Loves to take on, loves to dribble, loves to pass, and then loves to shoot. And he's really good at these goal-creating opportunities. And finally, in possession, just fantastic. Good dribbler, good carrier of the ball, can do long-distance carries, can do shorter distances, take-ons, really good, successful take-ons. He's one of the top players in the world statistically. Now, the big question mark is, can he do that in the Premier League? And I think this guy is good enough to come into this Liverpool team and make a big impact. What do you think about this guy, Aaron?
I think he's good enough. Whether he hits Salah numbers or not is a different question.
Yeah,
but is he good enough to play on the right wing? Absolutely. Is he FSG? A profiled FSG type player, 100%.
Yeah,
and he's an absolute FSG player based on the fact that they're talking about minimal cost, 20 million. 20 million pounds or there or thereabouts to bring him in. That's an absolute steal.
Yeah,
that price there for a player of that quality in a position where we are crying out for if Salah does leave. I mean, FSG will be all over that, I would imagine.
Yeah. Top player, and the price tag is right. And, there have been social media links to him in the past, which mean nothing to me. But, okay, Aaron. Now, this is a really tough one with the striker position because we technically have Darwin Núñez, we have Diogo Jota, we even have Luis Diaz, who has played there. But I was trying to think, okay, what would make me think that Liverpool can still compete without our big three, with those guys gone? And I tried to be realistic with this, and I did a lot of research, and I was trying to figure out who is that guy to lead our front line? Who is our new number 9? that could just bring, a massive spark. And this is probably not realistic, Aaron, but I threw him in there. It's Alexander Isak, okay? And I know that's probably not 100% realistic. I understand the price tag is crazy, but I'm like, if this were to happen, which is kind of outrageous, but hey, maybe some of our other players, maybe Darwin, maybe Lucho, maybe Jota go and are sold and funds are brought in. So that, and again, we haven't spent money in 2 years. So I'd be really interested in this team. I really would. And I
That's
think
a good team, Sam. That's a good team, mate. That's a really good team.
You've gotten rid of Salah and the, I don't know how 50 plus goal contributions he's had this year, but you've replaced it with Isak and you've got Cherki in there. And I think it's really, really interesting. It does shift the focus from everything runs through our right wing into maybe a more of a balanced attack, a more of a balanced approach where you've got some really good retainers of the ball, some good finishers, some good dribblers, some good passers up there. And, maybe our defense isn't quite as solid without Virgil, but this is a really good young team, Aaron, where except for Allison in here, everybody's on the same plane age-wise, right? I think everybody in this team is about 5 years apart from 20 to 25 years old. That is kind of crazy to think about when you think about the future and you think about what Arneslot could do with this team for the next 5 years. So this is a massive shift, but what do you think the outlook would be for this team in the next 5 years from now until 2030?
So I would maybe change, something that you said there prior. Maybe you don't think it's maybe as defensively solid with this back line, but I would say it would probably on our current starters. If you were to throw that in, where I think Bradley is a better defensive right back than Trent.
Yeah,
I think Kirkes on form. And playing for a bigger club could be a better left back option than Robbo right now in terms of what he's offering in this sort of current part of the season. Huijsen would not be quite Van Dijk in terms of organisation, but he has all of the attributes to be. He's not quite as physical as maybe doesn't read the game as well as Virgil Van Dijk does. But he'll learn that aspect of it. I think we would be just as solid with that back five as we are with the current back five. And in terms of the attacking line, I'm going to throw one in there as well because Isak is a real push. If Liverpool go for someone like Isak, which I don't know, I don't want to say it's unlikely because I'd love him at the club, but I would throw an alternative in there, someone that looks like they're progressing. And I would throw as a kind of FSG type player in there of Cunha.
Yeah, I thought about Cunha.
So as an FSG style signing, someone around about 50, 55 million-ish. I think Cunha age profile is about 24, 25 as well. He would be a really good option. But I would just hope Isak doesn't go to someone like Arsenal. Yeah, and we settle for Cunha because that would be hard to take.
It'd be hard to take. I'm trying to fathom that. I guess it could happen to Arsenal. I'm also wondering if Newcastle do make it into Champions League, if Isak stays put, and maybe Newcastle go out and spend a little bit of money for their European campaign. I think Isak does want European football. I think he wants Champions League football. And so if Newcastle, there's a good chance that they can do that. They're going to have to beat out Chelsea and Manchester City. But between those three teams right now, I think any of those three could make that push into fifth or fourth place. I'm kind of hoping that Newcastle doesn't, because I'd like to see Liverpool go for Isak. But I think, whether it's Cunha, I'd rather have Isak, obviously.
Yeah, me too.
Cunha, though, has kind of that mentality of like, he's going to go get it. He's going to get his. You know what I really like about
He's
this?
got a fighter's mentality, yeah? He's got that battling mentality.
He does.
We like them type of players.
What I like about this team, and I'm not slating any of our current team, but especially up front, whether it's Cunha or Isak, I feel like there's just a really strong mental, like, hey, we're going to come out every game and just cook. Like, we're going to just come out and beat you to death. We might not have a great game every time, but the mentality is there, right? We don't come out and play slow for the first 45. I think this team has a real hunter's mentality about it. And, you know, I still feel like at least one or two of our big three out of contractors are going to sign. But, you know, this is a lot of money to spend, and who knows what's going to happen. But I don't think everything is going to go down the drain if we don't re-sign anybody. I think with Arneslot at the helm, Richard Hughes, who's a very good talent scout, I think the future's bright, Aaron. And doing this little exercise got me excited for the future. No one can stay at the club forever. And so we'll see what the next couple months brings. But hey, most likely Champions League winners, number 20 in the bag. We'll see what happens this weekend at Wembley. And I think the future's bright, Aaron. I really do.